3, 2 of Pentacles. Do you wanna go shopping? Asked Oberon. Maybe another time. The mall is almost closer, Kain, looking at the shops closing up. And my, so there is going to be a next time, said Oberon, smiling happily. Yes, your company is agreeable when you're not flirting with me, said Kain coldly. It is still a bit too early, and how about if I take you somewhere? Asked Oberon. I need to check in first, said Kain, bringing out his cell phone. He answered all of the worried text messages from his family and friends, and he sent a selfie proof of his existence. And with this proof, they breathed a collective sigh of relief. Oberon attempted to peep over Kain's shoulder, and the problem was that Kain towered over the petite Oberon. I have a date, tested Jack. And can you come home a little later? I am trying to seal the deal, and your presence is going to throw me off my game. All right, Dad, I will come home much, much later, wrote Kain, and he turned to look at Oberon before saying, Where are we going? Let's go to Mojitos, and they play music at this hour, and we can watch the show, grab a bite to eat, and then we can pick up some bellezas latinas, said Oberon. If he couldn't convince Kain to sleep with him, then perhaps he would have better luck in a foursome scenario. Oberon drove out to Mojitos, and it was a Cuban restaurant in 8th Street, and at night it played live music. And I think in the modern times right now, it's like the restaurant closed, but like this takes place in 2004. The interior had low light, and there was a small raised stage with an empty area to allow the guests to dance. Kain studied the Cuban paintings with keen interest, and he was somewhat of an artist, and at work he was training as a forensic artist. And once a week he went on an artist collective to paint or to serve as a live model. Kain sat down before browsing the menu, and since his mood had improved, his hunger had returned, and he ended up ordering fried pork chunks with maduros and tostones. And while Kain ate, Oberon went on the prowl, and he peacocked with his dancing until he succeeded in picking up a lovely brunette. And he danced his way back to Kain before parading his prize. Oberon whispered his desire for a foursome to his date, and the woman politely declined the offer before departing. He tried again until he eventually succeeded in convincing two maidens to take part in the foursome, and Kain looked up from his torrejas dessert. And he wasn't in the mood to mate, and casual encounters were not his style, and he thought of Eugenia. The two had met at a party, and Eugenia had originally desired a one-night tryst, and over time they became a couple. He reluctantly gave the stranger a chance, and it had been 2 weeks since he last made it, and perhaps a roll around the hay might better his gloomy mood. Kain danced with the strange maiden while thinking of Eugenia, and Oberon danced with his lady while staring at Kain. And after dancing and drinking for 3 hours, the party drove off to Oberon's apartment, and Oberon preferred to have a home field advantage, and he dimmed the lights before putting a smooth jazz. Do you want a beer, Kain, or maybe something stronger? Asked Oberon, opening the fridge. Beer is fine, thank you, said Kain, accepting the beer. And he was starting to lose his buzz, and he needed another drink to recover his mood. Oberon handed Kain a bottle cap opener, and he opened his beer before drinking half of it in one go. And he couldn't remember the last time he had gotten drunk, and it felt great to just let it all out, to surrender oneself to the madness that alcohol provided. And Kain thought of his grandpa Raphael. When he was small, his grandpa used to take him to all of the museums. And Kain remembered his grandpa lingering in a painting called The King Drinks by Jacob Jordeans. The painting featured a group of drunken men and women, and the writing on the wall said in Latin, Nothing resembles the madman more than a drunkard. Kain was snapped out of his introspection by a pair of feminine hands unbuckling his belt. Kain turned to look at his wrist, and the two had talked for hours without having an actual conversation. And he didn't even know the woman's name. They made him laugh and placed by the coffee table Kain's revolver, and he never left home without it. When she stopped slobbering his face, Kain was able to ask, And what is your name? Tess, lied the maiden. And she removed Kain's chair before whistling. And do you need coffee, or must I do all of the work? I don't need coffee, I'm awake, said Kain, taking control of the situation. And there was something soulless and mechanic about his caresses, and it almost felt as if Kain was performing a well-rehearsed routine. And his date left the couch to lure Kain to Oberon's bedchamber. And Oberon salivated when he saw Kain topless, and everything was going exactly as planned. Kain sighed wearily as he was quickly being overcome by his melancholy, and since some familiar hands pulled him into the bed, and he was overstimulated and confusing to be the center of attention, and it irritated Kain that Oberon was taking advantage of the situation, and the strangers who knew nothing about him desired him, but not Eugenia. Kain thought of Eugenia, and why didn't she love me? And he had been so nice to her, and he was meek and he never argued, and he wore the clothing she wanted, and he styled his hair the way she liked, and he always conversed about the things she liked. And when they were together when they were in bed together, he always placed her physical needs above his own. And when he failed to satisfy her, he even tolerated her occasional infidelities. He gave Eugenia everything he had to offer, but it wasn't enough. Kain was overcome with a crying fit, and Oberon was immediately overcome with guilt, and he had been so hyper-focused in seducing Kain that he didn't realize the harm he was doing. "I'm sorry, ladies. I think it is best that you leave. My friend recently got dumped, and as you can see, he isn't ready to go back into the dating thing," said Oberon apologetically. The woman left Oberon's apartment, and Kain was oblivious to his surroundings. The only thing that existed in his mind was the pain of being dumped by Eugenia. And Oberon returned to the bedroom to see how Kain was doing, and Kain was still crying. Oberon opened his closet to bring out a clean blanket, and he draped it over Kain's bare shoulders. "Don't touch me, you degenerate," hissed Kain, shrugging away from Oberon's touch. "I'm sorry, I deserve that," said Oberon, taking a respectable distance. "And I will drive you home, but I'm a little drunk, and here's your cell phone with a charger, and if you need anything, I'm going to sleep in the couch." Oberon planted himself on the couch, and he fiddled with his fingers nervously while he waited for Kain to fall asleep. And Kain continued crying for what felt to Oberon like an eternity, and the crying eventually stopped. "And where is it? Where is it?" whispered Kain as he frantically searched for his revolver. And the revolver had been a gift from his grandpa, and he didn't feel safe without it. "Do you need something?" asked Oberon, peeping into the bedroom. "My revolver. I lost my grandpa's revolver," hissed Kain angrily while looking within the bedsheets. Oberon wasn't aware that Kain was packing heat, though it made sense considering that Kain was a police officer. Oberon turned on the lights of the living room, and missed among the beer bottles there was Kain's revolver. Oberon returned it to its rightful owner, and Kain sighed with relief while he held his revolver, and he opened it to make certain that he had all its 6 bullets, and he placed it by the nightstand before closing his eyes. The following morning, Kain awoke extremely disoriented, and he staggered out of the bed while he searched for the bathroom. And the first door he opened led to the closet, and the second door led to the bathroom, and he grimaced when he saw the yellow stains around the toilet, and he puked out his stomach. Oberon sprang from the couch with a glass of water and a heartburn tablet, and Kain accepted the glass of water, and he grimaced because it was warm tap water. And since his sensitive stomach wasn't a fan of tap water, he picked some more. And Oberon pulled out his dyed green hair in frustration, and instead of helping, he had made things worse. "Bottle," said Kain, and Oberon ran to his fridge, and he brought back a beer bottle, and Kain pushed it aside before saying, "A bottle of water, your tap water is contaminated." Kain closed the toilet lid before resting his head on top of it, and he was weary of the effort, and he was weary of absolutely everything. And Oberon left his apartment to buy Kain a bottle of water, Envia to be more exact, and on the way out he got a phone call from Stacy, and Kain wasn't answering his phone, and everyone was worried. "Kain got super drunk last night, and he's still dealing with a hangover," explained Oberon. Stacy grew somber, and it wasn't like Kain to get super drunk, and since Jack was a recovering drug addict, there was a risk that Kain may have inherited his father's propensity for addiction. And she gave Oberon a whole recipe for curing hangovers. And when Gen took the phone from his wife to interrogate Oberon about everything that had happened the night before, Oberon focused on the positive highlights to keep Kain from getting into trouble. And he left the checkout out to buy the ingredients, and he also brought some easy-to-digest oatmeal and lactose-free, low-fat milk. And when he returned home, he found Kain crying while holding his grandpa's revolver. And Kain didn't have the gun to his head, rather he was merely holding it with his right hand while he covered his face with his left hand. And this didn't paint a pretty picture. And Kain felt something soft and woolly touching his elbow. And when he looked up, he saw Oberon trying to comfort him using a bear plushie. Do I have permission to give you a friendly hug? Asked Oberon tentatively. And Kain gathered the bedsheets around him, and he was wary of Oberon's offer for reasons that he couldn't remember. And Oberon carefully approached while keeping an eye on the revolver, and he was afraid of the very real possibility of getting shot. And while Kain had the look of a mad beast ready to strike, and slowly Oberon approached without making any sudden movements, and he succeeded in hugging Kain, and Oberon took care not to allow his hands to wander, and he breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the sound of the gun falling on the floor. Your uncle is coming over to take you home, and you should clean up before he arrives, warned Oberon. He sounded very angry. Kain straight down before entering the bathroom, and he needed to sober up before Uncle Gem arrived. And Oberon prepared the sobering concoction to the best of his ability, and Kain left the bathroom fully dressed, and he opened his wallet to see if he had gotten robbed. And there was a few missing bills, but everything else was still there. He found the card with Oberon's cell phone number, and he looked at the card while he meditated on the night before. And they two had breakfast, and Oberon ate much while Kain struggled to digest the sobering smoothie and the oatmeal. And Oberon's cell phone began to vibrate, and he found seeing that it was from an unknown number. Now you have my cell phone, said Kain, writing Oberon's phone number into his contact, and you can call me the next time you want to hang out. And you can call me the next time you need a shoulder to cry on, said Oberon, smiling happily. Will do. See you around, Oberon, said Kain, leaving the apartment. And he did a final check to make certain he had everything. Wallet? Check. House keys? Check. Grandpa's revolver? Check. Kain walked downstairs to breathe the morning air, and he squinted his eyes as he struggled to adjust to the sunlight. And this moment of peace was short-lived. Uncle Gem arrived, visibly enraged, and he yelled at Kain non-stop for 20 minutes before feeling guilty about it. And Gem felt that he was becoming like his father, and he spent the rest of the car ride apologizing to his nephew. And Gem stopped the car in front of Kain's house. Kain, wait a moment, said Gem, detaining his nephew. What is it, Uncle Gem? asked Kain meekly, extremely meek and humble, and he was holding his shoulder in the same fashion he used to do whenever his grandpa would scold him. Your father, Jack, he ended up betting that slut that rejected you, and he's in a really good mood, so when you go inside, pretend like you had a good night, begged Gem. But I did have a good night, said Kain, smiling shyly. But Oberon said that you spent the entire night crying because of Eugenia, said Gem. He's exaggerating, lied Kain, and he added, saying a half-truth, but I did start crying at the most inopportune time, and the chicks we picked up in the bar immediately fled as soon as I started crying. Eugenia, why did you leave me? Why? Kain entered his house, and Jack and Lysandra were sitting together in the couch, all super cozy. Both turned serious when they became aware of Kain's presence, and Kain got another scolding from his father and his would-be blind date, and Lysandra stopped her scolding in order to laugh hysterically, and she found it laughable to be playing the role of mother to a man as big as Kain. I think everything worked out for the best, said Lysandra, smiling warmly, and your father is closer to my age. And how do you two end up hooking up, asked Kain. Your father gave me an earful for rejecting you, and that got us talking, and we went to a bar, and he played me a few rock ballads, and one thing led to another, and here we are, said Lysandra added, giggling. For such a skinny guy, your father has a lot of energy. Good for you two, said Kain, giving a fake smile. So how was your date? Asked Jack. Did Oberon take your second virginity? Asked Lysandra, laughing. Do you need a cushion, son? Asked Jack, echoing Lysandra's mocking laughter. Nothing happened, said Kain, before telling the edited version of last night's events. After hearing the story, Jack said, jumping from his seat, I knew that the rocker outfit was going to bring you luck, and we need to go shopping to update your wardrobe. Please, God, anything but that, thought Kain. Instead, he said, I would love to go shopping with you, Dad. Going clothing shopping always gave him bad flashbacks, and his abusing mother Bella loved to go dress shopping, and she would buy expensive outfits for herself while little Kain got clothing from the bargain bin. And even though Bella was dead, her memory would still resurface to tend the few moments of happiness in Kain's life. And it took much effort to suppress the memory of his mother, and he went clothing shopping with his father, Lysandra, and her son, Jeffrey. Jeffrey had spent the night in Gen's house playing with the kids, and he returned to his mother extremely hyper and most importantly happy. Kain got inside Lysandra's minivan and he sat in the back with the other baby. And his maid smiled with a shout while his father chatted with Lysandra's ear off. "Hi, Kain," said Jeffrey, smiling happily. "Hi, Jeffrey," said Kain, mirroring Jeffrey's energy level. "Did you have fun with Spider-Man?" asked Jeffrey. "Yes, we had dinner and we went to the movies. And we went dancing with Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy," said Kain, telling the child-friendly version of the night before. "I danced too," said Jeffrey. "I danced real badly." "Come now, honey, it was your first time dancing," said Lysandra. "You just need practice." "Or classes," said Jeff. "Carina taught my Kain how to dance, and if anyone can teach your son how to move, it's Thunder Hips." "Thunder Hips?" asked Lysandra, giggling. "That was Carina's nombrete back in high school," said Kain. "And she doesn't like that silly nickname, so when you speak with her, please call her by her name." "Did you have any funny nicknames?" asked Lysandra, making small talk. "A few. Wonder Boy, Water Boy, Cabo Raso, Private Giant, Private Ryan, Seguroso," said Kain, listing all of his terrible nicknames. "What is a Cabo Raso?" asked Jeffrey, raising his hand. "A level 1 soldier," said Kain. "And Seguroso," asked Jeffrey. "It means spy in Cuban," explained Kain. The conversation carried them all the way to Daylight Mall, and they went from clothing store to clothing store, and Kain tried on every outfit that was thrown in his direction. And if the outfit was expensive, he claimed not to like it. And when they would reach the checkout line, he would remove more articles of clothing to avoid spending big. And after doing this 3 times, it became pretty obvious that he didn't want to buy any clothing. "Do you want us to visit a video game store?" asked Jeff. "Yes, God, yes," said Jeffrey, jumping excitedly. "Can we go? Can we go? Can we go?" "We will buy 1 new game," said Lysandra equanimously. "Yay!" said Jeffrey, running towards the GameStop. Lysandra ran after her son, and Jack took that moment to whisper to Kain, "Forget about Eugenia already. There are plenty of fishes in the ocean. Find yourself another." "You make it sound like it's the easiest thing in the world," whined Kain. "But it is easy, Kain. You are beautiful, my son. You are employed. You have a house. You have money. You have everything going for you. Just find a broad you like and seduce her and stop being such a wuss about it," said Jack. Jack's shopping trip concluded satisfactorily, and he made plans to go out with Lysandra at a later day. And Kain went to sleep early and he needed to recuperate his strength. And Monday came, and Kain sprang from his bed 5 minutes before his alarm clock sounded, and he jogged around the neighborhood. He did his weight training, and he showered, and he made breakfast, and he got dressed for work. And he arrived to work right on time, not a minute later or earlier. He went to the break room to speak with Siddhanta. Siddhanta was the other rookie cop in the police station. Siddhanta had ebony skin, a perfect beefcake body, brown hair, and intense copper eyes. And both had a healthy working relationship and something that could almost be called friendship. And Siddhanta was currently dating Eugenia's little sister Dorothy. And Dorothy was a freckle-faced tomboy brunette with satirical amber eyes. Like every morning, Kain would ask Siddhanta, "How is Jeremy?" Jeremy was Siddhanta's little brother, and they had grown up in the same little brother, quote unquote. And they had grown up in the same foster home, and Jeremy was a dainty ebony youth with a face far too pretty for a man. And his face was identical to Nefertiti, so he was often mistaken for a woman. And his expressive black eyes complemented his short curly brown hair. And Jeremy worked as a dog walker for Eugenia, and other than work, Jeremy was the only thing Siddhanta wanted to talk about as of lately, and Siddhanta felt guilty about dating while Jeremy was miserable and alone. "The same," said Siddhanta. "So he didn't click with Balthazar?" asked Kain. "No, but Balthazar didn't manage to get Jeremy to talk," said Siddhanta, "and apparently he has a secret boyfriend." "And do you know who it is?" asked Kain. I wouldn't have called him a secret boyfriend if I knew his identity," said Siddhanta, folding his arm. "And are you going to stalk Jeremy again?" asked Kain. "Jeremy has gotten better at spotting me, and I need you to do some of your computer magic to find out the identity of the man that is hurting my Jeremy," said Siddhanta, fiddling with his pistol holster excitedly. "How is he hurting Jeremy?" asked Kain. "He's too rough with him," protested Siddhanta. "Jeremy has bruises, and last night he showed up with choke marks and a demonic hickey." Kain already knew what Siddhartha planned to do with the man that was hurting his little brother, and the conversation came to an end when they were summoned to the task room, and there was a visiting police detective, and the detective signaled Siddhartha out. He was taken to the interrogation room, and a wary Kain went to Uncle Gen's office, and from there they were able to spy on the private conversation between the detective and Siddhartha. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye, God bless.